reading from the manual, Technical Presentation. His objectives are to eliminate crutch words like write, effectively use PowerPoint, make an exceedingly boring subject interesting, and to persuade the audience to take action. Help me welcome Tim Haviland. He's going to, the title of his speech is How We Work. How We Work, Tim Haviland.
How do you work? If you're like most people, you use a to-do list. Here's my to-do list, some things I need to do. I need to hire an employee. I need to write a speech for Toastmasters. I need to work on a new sales presentation. And I need to get the oil changed in my car. The oil change one is particularly annoying to me because I was at Ralph's just the other day. And not 100 yards from Ralph's is a quickie loop. I could have dropped my car off, gone into Ralph's, shopped for 45 minutes, come out and had the car done, but I didn't do that. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever had something on your to-do list, had plenty of opportunity to do it, and you just don't do it, right? You know why that happens? Because to-do lists suck. They don't work. They absolutely don't work. They don't do two very important things. They don't compel us to take action, and they're not where we need them to be when we need them. For instance, we all just admitted that, yes, we've had things on our to-do list that we have not done. Well, why not have an errands list? It takes 60 seconds to write. And where would that errands list go? In your car. So it's where you need it, when you need it. Pretty simple. Get in your car, gotta change the oil, I'm on my way to Ralph's, it'll click in my head to do that. So we're gonna talk about a method. It's called Getting Things Done. It's written by a man named David Allen. David Allen has printed over 2 million books. His process has been translated into 28 languages. It's a very successful program. What I want to do first, though, is give you some definitions that will help you with his method. The first thing is a project. That's anything with more than one step. If it's more than one step, it goes on your projects list. The next thing is next actions. The next physical action you can take to move this project forward. We call this getting the ball rolling, right? Break it down into a small thing and get the ball rolling. Next one is a somewhat technical term you may want to write down. It's called stuff. This is all the stuff you have coming at you, whether it's personal or business, and it has your attention. This is the stuff you need to manage. Here's a project list. I need to write a speech. I need to give a speech. I need to pick a topic. I need to pick a manual. I need to write my conclusion. I need to write my opening, my body. I need to practice the speech. I need to speak to my Toastmaster evaluator. And I need to deliver the speech on August 5th. This is a project. We've all had give a speech on our to-do list. You sit down and look at it, oh yeah, I've got to give a speech. You can't manage giving a speech. It's an idea. But you can manage its constituent parts. So what's the next action? Remember, the next action is the next physical action you're going to take to get the ball moving. For me, it's picking a topic. So when I get my email 4 or 6 weeks in advance and I'm going to be giving a speech. Then I look at the email, and tomorrow, during lunch, I'm going to spend 30 minutes just brainstorming topic ideas. That's what I would do. You may have more or fewer things on your to-do list. You may have a different next action decision, but nonetheless, this is how the system works. And what is this getting things method? What is the getting things done method in its main parts? It has 5 constituent parts. You need to collect all the stuff that comes at you. You need to process all the stuff that comes at you. You need to organize it. You need to review it, and then you need to do it. And why do you do this? What does it lead to? It leads to a clear head. I know that sounds like a very simplistic thing, but getting everything out of your head is a major accomplishment. It leads to greater creativity. Just as Toastmasters has a structure that leads to creativity, this is a structure that leads to creativity. It also frees up what David Allen calls your psychic RAM. Imagine your computer. You've got 15 programs open. Your computer is going to work slowly. If you've got 15 projects in your head, you're going to work slowly too. You want to get them out of your head and on paper. So collections. You have collection buckets, all sorts of buckets. You have voicemail. It's an excellent, reliable, leak-proof bucket. You know you have voicemail. You have text messages that need to be reviewed, emails, your paper inbox. These are all excellent buckets. They're leak-proof and you can rely on them. You may have more, you may have fewer, but this is probably what most of you have. You may even have a notebook. I see a lot of people writing themselves notes. That's an excellent collection bucket. I think it's important to know what's not a collection bucket. Your head is not a collection bucket. This little guy has used his head as a collection bucket. It's gotten extremely large, and he's laying down to take a nap or something. He's so overwhelmed. I've seen some of your offices, and I'll tell you now, your desk is not a collection bucket. Here's a picture of,
oh my God.
So this guy's got a book that he's been meaning to read for the last 5 years. These are Post-it notes around his monitor. Post-it notes are evil. Get rid of them. That is not a system. Post-it notes are not a system. Okay, so you've collected everything. Now you have to process it. What is it? This is an excellent question. You pick up a document, you get an email. What is it? Is it actionable? If it's not actionable, you can dump it, incubate it, or reference it. Your cellular phone manual, that's a reference item. The hike you want to do in a year at Mount Whitney, that's an incubate item, someday maybe list. For me, the cellular manual, I dump. I'm not even going to reference it. I can find that on the internet. I can call Verizon if I ever need it. My first choice is dump. You get a lot of stuff that's non-actionable, get rid of it. That's my first choice. I dump a lot of that stuff. If it's actionable, if yes, it's actionable, then what do? You either do it, defer it, or delegate it. If you've got something in front of you and it's only going to take 2 minutes, just do it. Get it done and move on to the next thing. You can defer it. For me, writing my speech, deciding on the topic, I deferred. I got the email, and then I scheduled for the next day that I needed to brainstorm on topics. So that was something I deferred and scheduled. And you can delegate it. I need to hire an employee, so currently I don't have anyone to delegate it. But at some point, I'll be delegating a lot of stuff. You must get to 0. You can't keep it in your head. You can't remember that there's a voicemail. Oh yeah, Joe called and I'll listen to that voicemail. You've got to get to 0. And yes, that means email. You've got to get to 0. Now you've got to organize it. Basically it breaks down into 4 constituent parts for organizing. Some of them have subcategories, but it's 4 main categories. Stuff you're waiting for, you're in the middle of a project and you need to wait for someone else to finish the next step before you can move forward. That's a waiting for list. Your project list, we've already mentioned that. These are giving a speech, your sales presentation, those all go on your project list. Next actions, you group your next actions. So these are the things that have a lot of subcategories. You have many projects over here, but a bunch of those projects have calls you have to do. So those go on your call list. They may be errands. They may be at computer. So you have many projects and you group them into common next action tasks. And then the last thing is you calendar things. Things that have to be done on a specific day or things that have to be done on a specific day and time. Review. You've got to review weekly to make sure you're on track. You've got to get to work. Right? You've got to do this stuff. You make intuitive choices based on your time, energy, and location. If it's Monday morning at 9 a.m., we're all high energy at that time, we'll probably tackle big projects. If it's Friday at 4:45 and I'm leaving the work at 5, I'm probably just going to feel like clearing out voicemail. I'm not going to tackle a big task. So you make intuitive choices on what you'll do and when you'll do it. There's a quote I particularly like from David Allen. If you think getting an empty head is not worth doing, then throw away your calendar. Halfway is unjustifiable. We've seen halfway approaches with the person with the Post-it notes. They've got a system they don't trust, so they're in the worst of both worlds. Everything's cluttered in their head, and the system's broken. Getting things done is similar to Toastmasters. It unleashes your creativity by having free space in your head. We've seen it in Toastmasters. We've seen people arrive, they do all 10 speeches, they do table topics, they're Toastmasters, they participate. And that commitment is their critical success factor. They become a much better speaker. They become successful in speaking. Getting things done is the same commitment. If you commit to this, it is absolutely transformational. My hope is you'll make the same commitment to getting things done that you've made to Toastmasters, because you'll see a huge transformation.